I was the one who said the sentence that turned our bedroom into a museum. We were late to my boss's birthday dinner, fighting over nothing in the way couples do when the real fight is hiding under the coat rack. I'd changed twice because the first dress felt too tight, the second too young. Matt stood in the doorway and said, "You look incredible," and then, because he's a dork and my dork, he added a playful butt tap on my way past him. "Can we not?" I snapped, batting his hand away. "You sexualize everything." "Sometimes I want to be looked at like a person, not that." It came out like a splinter I'd been pushing it for months. He froze. Not offended, not pouting. Just still, like a dog hearing thunder in the distance. "Got it," he said, voice neutral. "I don't want you to feel that way." We went to dinner. I told the story about my new client and laughed at the appropriate parts. He offered the wine list to the table like a gentleman. No one died. But I could feel the sentence sitting on the back of his neck all night like a hand. The thing is, I didn't mean, never touch me again. I meant, not like that right now. We had been together 5 years, married 2, generally healthy by Instagram standards. Vacation photos, the occasional Sunday pancakes, a shared notes app for Costco. He initiated more than I did. Sometimes that came out sideways, sometimes I liked it, sometimes it made me feel like a vending machine with one button. I didn't have language for the way my body worked. How I often needed a reason to want, not wanted for no reason. So I called it over-sexualizing, as if naming his desire character flaw would fix how mine arrived late. After the dinner, he took me at my word. He didn't test the boundary or sulk or force a negotiation with his hands. He made it literal. The next morning he kissed my cheek and grabbed his gym bag. That night he washed dishes and said, "Want to watch the rest of that doc?" The next week he installed a new shower head because I'd said, on a Tuesday months ago, that the old one made my hair sad. He didn't graze my waist or press me against the counter or say, "Later," in that half question he used to use. If I reached for his hand on the couch, he held it. If I scooted close, he scooted back. But the spark, that little current that makes your skin remember what it's for, didn't jump across anymore. At first I was relieved. It felt respectful, a little luxurious. No negotiations to manage at bedtime. No mental math of, "Am I too tired?" while brushing my teeth. Then relief softened into quiet. Quiet turned into a kind of draft that made me pull blankets up to my chin. In month 2, I tried to joke about it. "Wow, celibate house," I said, aiming for playful. He smiled without showing teeth. "Just doing what you asked," he said. "That's not what I asked," I said too fast. He looked right at me, kind and unflinching. "You said I sexualize everything and you wanted to be looked at like a person." I don't feel safe being an object of your desire. So I'm taking the objectifying part off the table until you invite it back. Safe? He always uses words like that, therapy words he learned when his dad got sober and dragged the family to 3 sessions. He's not precious about it. He just believes language can prevent wrecks. We started sleeping like roommates. On our sides, a polite gulf between us. I kissed his neck one night and he kissed my forehead back. "Are you initiating?" he asked softly, a tone I'd never heard from him. "I don't know." "Maybe," I said, embarrassed by my own uncertainty. "I need that to be a yes," he said. "Not a maybe. Not a test to see if I'll push through a no and make it a yes for you. You said you felt sexualized." I'm not risking guessing wrong. It was like someone switched us to a different track without telling me where the train was going. I told my friends he'd gone cold after I set a simple boundary. They were generous because they love me and because they have lived through men with boundaries shaped like walls. Maybe he's pouting, one said. Punishing you, another suggested. Weaponized withdrawal, the third offered, which is a phrase that sounds smarter than it feels at 2 a.m. Matt wasn't cruel. He didn't slam doors or go to bed angrily or make me pay a tax for my words. He was the same person. Fixing the loose cabinet hinge he'd been meaning to, texting me, want me to grab oat milk from the store, bringing my car in for an oil change because he noticed the sticker. He just didn't turn the longing part on. With anyone. Including himself, if not shaving on Saturdays is evidence. In month 3, I tried seduction badly. 2 glasses of red wine, a playlist I found by searching, spicy, like a teenager, a hand on his chest. I'm tipsy, he said gently, eyes searching mine. So are you. I don't want to start this again with fuzzy lines. Ask me for it on a Tuesday at noon when we're both sober, and I'll be there. So clinical, I said, stung. So clear, he said. We went to couples therapy in month 4 because I called and made the appointment. Her office smelled like lemons and textbooks. She had soft shoes and a white noise machine. I went first. My complaint, my fear, my version of the sentence. He turned it all the way off, I said. I wanted the volume down. She nodded and turned to him. What did you hear when she said, you sexualized everything? That loving her was unsafe for her, he said, not dramatic. I realized I'd been doing a lot of initiating because I thought that was what men do when they're attracted to their wives. I realized I might have been stepping on signals I didn't fully understand. So I decided to build the kind of safety she said she needed, 0 pressure, 0 chance she'd feel like a body first. I figured she'd invite me back when she wanted me. I didn't think it would be this long. The therapist said words that were annoying because they were right. She explained spontaneous desire versus responsive desire. That some people get desire first and then look for a reason, and others need context and safety and warmth before desire shows up at all. She said mine was likely the second. She said his felt like the first. She said couples can meet in the middle if they stop using initiate like a contest. She gave us homework, not sex, not even kissing at first. Sensate focus, she called it. Touch without goals. 10 minutes. Alternate who leads. Use words. We did it twice. The first time was sweet and awkward, like dancing at daylight. The second time I got self-conscious and made a joke that wasn't a joke about how clinical it felt. He put his hand over mine and said, we can stop. We stopped. We didn't pick it up again. I told myself it was a silly exercise. I didn't want to admit I was scared of wanting in case it didn't move. He scheduled his own individual sessions, which felt like both a relief and a betrayal. I want to make sure I'm not confusing consent with duty, he said when I asked why. I want to make sure I don't turn into the guy who thinks he's entitled to a body because there's a mortgage. He made a boundary I hadn't expected. I'm not going to initiate for the next 6 months, he told me in the kitchen one Saturday, matter of fact. Not to punish you. To recalibrate. If you want intimacy, I need you to be explicit. Words. No testing. No maybes. No drunken hints. If you don't, that's information. But I won't keep guessing. 6 months. I said, like a sentence length at a parole hearing. It gives us enough time to see if this is a lull or a pattern, he said. It gives me time to prove I can hear you. It gives you time to see if you actually want me, or if you only want to be wanted. He wasn't cruel when he said it. He was precise. Precision can feel like cruelty when you're used to softness doing the work. By month 5, I was the one counting days. I would look at the calendar and feel mad at squares. I would put lotion on my legs at night and feel ridiculous, like I was dressing for no one. I would catch him changing his shirt and stare, remembering that my husband's shoulders are a thing. I would say nothing because I didn't want to say the wrong thing and make the silence official. I tried once. Sunday afternoon, clean house smell, football on low. I want you, I said, and immediately regretted how it sounded like a scripted line in a movie with bad lighting. He muted the TV. Okay, he said. What does that mean right now? I don't know. Just, come here, I said, already retreating. He shook his head gently. That's still vague, he said. I'm trying to build a new pattern where you feel in charge of your yes. I need you to mean it, not throw it out like bait. I'm trying, I said, and heard the whine in it. I know, he said, and kissed my cheek. The cheek kisses became their own language. I started to hate them. I did the worst thing in month 6, I accused him of cheating. Not out loud to him, I am not that brave or that stupid. To my sister, on the phone, whispering like a teenager, saying, he has to be getting it somewhere, when what I meant was, I feel undesirable and I'm too proud to say so. She inhaled hard enough to make the line crackle. Or he's the only man you've known who can actually do what women ask for without making himself a martyr, she said. Or he's done being the engine and is waiting to see if the car moves at all without him pushing. I hung up mad at her for being right in a way that doesn't comfort. On day 181. Half a year. I came home to an envelope on the kitchen island, not a manila one from a lawyer, just a white one from the grocery store. Inside was a letter, typed because handwriting makes him feel 12. It wasn't a breakup. It was a thesis. He wrote that he loved me and wanted a marriage that could handle truth. He wrote that he had spent 6 months making our home as safe as he knew how. No pressure, no tests, no innuendo. And that he had watched me freeze in the face of being the one to ask. He said he wouldn't punish me for that. He wouldn't label me broken or frigid or dramatic. He also wouldn't go back to being the only one who risks a no. Desire without freedom is duty, he wrote. I won't build a sex life out of duty. Then, I'm not leaving. I'm not cheating. I'm not even calling this a separation. I'm stating a boundary. If you want intimacy with me, you need to be the initiator for a while. Not once at 1 o'clock, not as a test, but clearly and consistently. If you don't, I'll accept that our marriage is a friendship and make my peace there. But I will not cajole or nudge or try my luck anymore. That's not safe for you and it's not dignified for me. He ended with logistics because his himself, the therapist's appointment times, a book he'd been reading about responsive desire, highlighted chapters, a link to a weekend workshop another couple swore by. I'll go if you schedule it, he wrote. I won't schedule it for you. I sat at the island and stared at the letter until the words dissolved. Then I did what I should have done months ago, I said something plain. I want you tonight, I told him when he walked in from the gym. Not a maybe, a yes. I want to shower, put on the blue shirt you like, lock the door, and not talk for a while. And tomorrow I want us to put the workshop on the calendar. And on Friday I want to lead the 10 minutes. And next week, I want to mess up and laugh, not freeze and flee. He looked at me like a person looks at a shoreline from deep water. Okay, he said, careful like a man putting his hand back near a flame. Okay. We did all of that. It wasn't a movie. It wasn't a montage. It was clumsy and sweet and then awkward and then better. I cried because I was angry at myself for needing the safety I'd mocked. He held me and didn't narrate my feelings for me. We scheduled the workshop like nerds. We did the 10 minutes and sometimes quit at 4 because we were human. I initiated again 3 nights later, not because I felt fireworks, but because I wanted to keep a promise to myself. Desire showed up late, like always, apologizing without words, and I let it in. If this is where I tell you it all fixed, I'd be lying. Sometimes I still want to be wanted more than I want. Sometimes he still wants in the way that makes his hands twitch. Sometimes we do the adult thing and say, not tonight, and no one keeps score. But the museum room is open again, and the exhibits are touchable. He won. If you need that framework, he did. Not by withholding to punish me, not by cheating, not by making a show of suffering. He won by listening to the content of my words instead of the tone. He won by stepping all the way back when I said, I feel sexualized, and then refusing to be the only one to step forward again. He won by making consent a positive thing instead of a checkbox, by insisting that yes be a yes and not a dare, by asking me to carry my half of desire like an adult. I lost the ability to pretend that being wanted is the same as being loved. I gained the language for my own body. I learned that boundaries feel like rejection when you're used to being chased. I learned that a good man can take a hard sentence and turn it into safety without turning himself into a ghost. I learned that if I say I want to be seen as a person, sometimes that means being the person who asks.